Man, I want to start here, though. Before we get to the team, man, I want to talk a little bit about you. You
Yeah,
were named to the 40 under 40 list from Dave
yeah,
Campbell's
yes.
AFCA 35 under 35. Man, only the elite coaches in the country get these honors. Talk a little bit about what that meant to you, that all these national publications are recognizing the work you've been doing throughout your coaching career and at Incarnate Word.
Blessed, extremely humbled. I'm a product of a ton of really good coaches in my life, not just on the football field, but off it. I mean, starting with my parents, my little league coaches, up through grade school. I've got some business mentors in my life that have really rounded me as a man, and I'm a product of them. So I'm blessed, extremely humbled by it.
Coach, we talked last year. I told you I was still in the quote, and I don't think I've had more coaches agree with your statement about drinking water out of a fire hose as a
Yeah,
first
yeah,
year head coach. 9 wins, though, Coach, your first season as head coach, and obviously, the snub from the FCS playoff committee kept you out of the postseason. In your opinion, what is it going to take for teams out of the Southland to start garnering some more respect in terms of being at large bids to the FCS playoffs? I talked to Chris Grant about that yesterday, but just from your perspective as a head coach, what does this conference need to do to get that same respect that you see the Valley, the Big Sky, even the CAA get in the postseason?
The simple answer is probably perform better in the non-conference. But to be totally honest with you, Zach, I haven't looked into it too much. We went 9-2, like you said, but those are two opportunities that we didn't take advantage of. And if we take advantage of those, we go from not being in the playoffs to probably being a seeded team. So just take advantage of your opportunities. I mean, it's pretty simple. Be where your feet are. Handle your non-conference games. And obviously conference media day. We have the entire conference here, but right now we're not worried about our conference. We got Northern Colorado coming to town, and then we go to South Dakota State, then we go to Southern Illinois, and so on and so forth. So we're worried about game one. And being where our feet are, and I think that's probably how this conference, collectively goes in the direction that it wants to go.
You have two very, very talented quarterbacks returning. Zach Calzada, first team all conference. Obviously, Richard Torres was a freshman All-American, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. Is there a quarterback battle, or is Calzada the guy, Torres kind of the guy for the future? And what's next in the development of each of those guys next season?
You notice either of them at media day?
Yep.
Neither one of them are at media day. That means
There you
there's a competition. Does that make sense? And to be totally honest with you, and this is a little bit off topic in terms of quarterback play, but we have more than 22 starters on our roster. Me and this staff did a tremendous job of recruiting and adding to the fit at UIW, and guys that can become tremendous impact players for us. So there's going to be a ton of competition this fall camp. And it's something that I kind of pulled from Coach Kenny in terms of it's an NFL 53-man roster approach. All 22 spots are open. Even the two guys that are here at media day today, they know that they got to bring their lunch pail every single day and go to work. But in terms of Rich and Zach, I'm having two good quarterbacks. I mean, you're talking about a guy that was the first team all conference quarterback in this league last year, a freshman All-American that's undefeated as a starter right now. I mean, what a good situation to have. And both of those guys have had tremendous off seasons, and just efficiency. Making the play that's simple. Not every play has got to be getting to my third or fourth progression. Not every play has got to be a perfect ball or everything like that. Just playing within the scheme of what we want to do and leading those guys.
Incarnate Word is known for offense. You're an offensive guy. Obviously, you guys want to put up the big numbers, but it was really defensively where you guys dominated last year. One of the best defensive units, I think top 10 in 5 or 6 different defensive categories. Talk a little bit about your defensive
Say it again,
staff.
Man. Say it again. I
Yeah.
love it.
Talk about a little bit about your defensive staff and the performance of those guys, man, because I don't think anyone would have predicted Incarnate Word leading the nation in passing efficiency defensively.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's something that I really wanted to address in the hiring process. And the hiring process was probably the most difficult part of year one, to be totally honest with you, just because you're talking about putting people in place to groom these young men and mentor them and develop them and coach them. And probably one of my best hires was Jim Gush. You talk about a guy that's got a long tenure as a football coach and at a high level and been around some really, really great minds. He cultivates these young men. They have an identity. They play with physicality, and Coach Gush has been tremendous in terms of continuing to develop me, because I'm not a finished product either. Like I said earlier, I'm a product of a bunch of coaches that poured into me, and Coach Gush has been one of those guys, and he leads that defense the exact way that I wanted it to. So extremely blessed to have him on this staff. They got some guys around him that are really good too. Ben Olsen does a tremendous job with the defensive line. He came to us last year actually from the CFL, spent a few years up there. I think in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, man, he had the number 1 and number 2 sack leaders in the CFL. So he does a great job there. Sam Bennett, son of longtime Coach Phil Bennett, has a ton of knowledge as well. He does a great job with the linebackers, and Coach Sanders and Coach Sprague do a great job on the back end. So all those guys, man, they found an identity. And moving forward, we're not just going to be known for the offensive side of the ball. We're going to be known for being able to play 3 phases.
Last question, Coach. I'll let you get out of here. I know you got a million interviews probably due. Being in San Antonio today, you guys have one of the most difficult out-of-conference schedules in the nation. You mentioned it at South Dakota State, 2-time defending national champion, Southern Illinois on the road, who was a playoff team last year, Northern Arizona, always a tough opponent, PV, who was in the SWAC championship last year, and then you even opened the conference schedule with Nichols, who won the Southland last year. So talk a little bit about how you're preparing your team for one of the most difficult 5-6 game stretches to start the year.
Yeah. I heard the strength of schedule. I got social media, I got Twitter, I got Instagram. So I heard everything that was said last year. Obviously took it with a grain of salt within the season, but at the end of the season, kind of when you're looking in that mirror and trying to grow, you make decisions, and I decided to put South Dakota State on the schedule. Obviously Southern Illinois is the second half of a back-to-back, but I love that game for us. We're going to find out who we are early. And we don't have to do anything different. Just be who we are and understand that it's in the details. We're going to win football games by being detail oriented, and that's one thing. I've been able to really dive into South Dakota State and Southern Illinois because we do kind of a soft game plan for the first 3, and just watching the detail that those teams play with. It's not always about those talented guys, and we're gonna have the athletes. To be totally honest with you, I feel great about our roster. We've added some really good players, but we have to buy into these details, man, and worry about us, worry about the day, worry about the play, and execute, and then let the chips fall where they may, and just do that over and over and over, and then we'll look up and we'll see what the scoreboard says.
Coach Killough, as always, man, it's always great talking to you. One of my favorite guys in the FCS, man. I'm always kind of rooting for Incarnate Word on the inside. I can't show it and be biased, man, but you're my guy. I'm looking forward to catching you at a game this year, man, and looking forward to seeing you on the playoffs this year.
No doubt. We'll see you there, brother.